Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to the Frazzlog. How are you doing? You doing good? You're doing pretty good. Alright, I like that. So yeah, November 28th, we're sitting here. We've ate a bunch of turkey, we've ate some ham, we've ate some ham turkey, we've ate some pie, some breads. We've ate quite a few delicacies, you could say. And I like them. I do. So this Thanksgiving, so far, I give it a pretty good rating of, pretty good. Originally my plans were to talk more about the old Xbox Live Splinter Cell Day, big old Thanksgiving 2005. Oof, what a year! But I did discuss a little bit about that in a video or two ago, so that basically covered that. Let me just say that Thanksgiving was very special to me, even though nothing major happened. It was the best relaxing day I've ever had. One of them. I liked it. The time has gone and passed, and new things are happening, and I like it. So that's that. I, however, did beat Dead Rising 3, so hey, that's something to talk about. Now, Dead Rising 3, how does it stack up to the other two games? The other 4 games? Yeah, Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, Dead Rising... There's what, 5 games? Dead Rising 3 is technically the 6th game, because Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, Dead Rising 2 Off the Records, Dead Rising 2 Case Zero, Dead Rising 2 Case West. Yeah, so this is the 6th game in the series. Yeah, it was pretty damn good. I'm not gonna say it was a good game, but it was a fun game. There's still a lot of flaws, obviously. The developers, they are on the right track, though. They did a lot of really good things with this game. It was a really good launch game. It has drop-in, drop-out co-op. It has pretty good story mode. I mean, it's not bad. There's no multiplayer component. Luckily, they took that shit out. They realized it was a mistake, and it was a mistake because Dead Rising 2 proved it. Co-op is good, though. I will accept that. So, Dead Rising 3, where do I start? Let's just start with the story, get that out of the way. You know, it's the fastest thing in the game. Or, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's start off with the smallest thing, which is the audio department. The audio department for Dead Rising 3 is... I'm giving it a 0.5 out of 1. Straight up. The music, Dead Rising 2, oh my god, Dead Rising 1 and 2 had amazing soundtracks, to the point where I downloaded them because they were so good. Like, they knew, like, what to do. Like, every boss fight had its own song, its own lyrical song, and these songs were so good, they got you really excited to fight bosses. And, it was awesome. The mall music, come on, that iconic mall music, you know, when you're just walking around and you hear that shopping center music playing, it's just beautiful. Dead Rising 3 strips that, and they just add in generic, like, music. I mean, it's almost non-existent, to be honest. The only songs I remember are the, when you pause the game, randomly, like, a lyrical song will come on. It's like a rock song, which I don't recognize. That, and whenever you go into a cutscene, there's this, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like the menu music from Dead Rising 1, where it's supposed to be that very ominous, just like lurking music, just that, like, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't like it very much. But voice acting, it's not bad, but there's not enough fucking story for this game to really talk about voices, because these characters are not developed at all, and so on. So the sound department gets a 0.5. I would give it a 0, but there wasn't anything wrong with it, you know. It's not like the music completely sucked. I think in order for me to give out a 0 out of 1 for an audio department, because voice acting doesn't take points away. It doesn't at all. What messes it up is the soundtrack. The soundtrack, if the soundtrack is completely to the point where I have to turn it off, that's when we know we have a bad audio division working on this game. That being said, let's jump into the story. The story, I'm straight up telling you right now, it also gets a 0.5. It's just, I don't know what these writers are thinking. I know they have to connect dots between the previous games with this game, and I get that, I understand that. But what we get here is such generic bullshit, like good guy stereotype shit. Ugh. Alright, so we're introduced into Nick Ramos, a auto mechanic, and they don't really introduce him very well. They throw you into the game. Someone's calling. Xbox, go to Skype. Got that Skype going on. Xbox. Incoming call. Xbox, call Eric Marshall. Xbox, hold for details. See, I don't know what command you say to open up the guide. I don't have a controller near me either. Shit. Xbox. Call Eric Marshall. Xbox, Skype Eric Marshall. What? Stop listening. Xbox. I wish I could. You can use hand gestures somehow, but I don't know how to. Answer. Xbox, go to Skype. People. Show all recent. Recent 1. Voice call. I think it's doing something now. Voice call. It detected that I was saying it. I don't know. Xbox. Voice call. Skype. Next. Next page. Next page. Next page. Next page. Next page. Contact 5. Call. Xbox. Hang up. Alright, fuck that guy. Alright, so getting back to the story, Nick Ramos, he's just a generic, stereotype main character, he's got the whole, I'm a good guy, I'm gonna do bad, or good things. When bad things happen, I'm gonna question them, because I don't know what else to think. Stuff like that. He sees, obviously, his first human get murdered, and you kill your first human. These games deal with psychopaths, and the whole point is to kill them. And you have to kill these fucking psychopaths. And he has to come to term with killing them. But near the end of the game, he starts teasing them. He starts joking around with them, and I don't know. His character just suddenly turns around and he starts having fun, which I would get if we could see that progression happen. But when he just randomly 180s, it's just kind of what the fuck happened? And there's not enough story. Every cutscene in this game is 10 to a minute long, 10 seconds to a minute long. So there's just not enough stuff going on. And there's not enough dialogue when you're running around doing stuff to really make you care for these characters. Nick being the main character, you think he would be the most likable character, but he's not. So basically, his whole role in the story is his auto mechanic boss and a couple other survivors are locked up. They escape. They find an airplane that, if they can build and fix within a couple of days, they'll be able to fly out of the city before the city gets destroyed, because the military's coming soon, and you've got to do it fast. That's basically the main goal. But Nick's other goal is he wants to help his friend Annie, this girl he's got a crush on and stuff. So you have to go track her down. You end up finding out that there's this whole plot. Basically, in the future of the Dead Rising universe is there's a cure for zombie. Like, well, it's not a cure. It's a temporary cure for zombie. It fights off the virus inside of you. It's called Zombrex. It basically keeps it from spreading. The government starts tagging people with this GPS device that it gives you Zombrex. It feeds it into your system when you're supposed to get it. The only downside is you're going to be completely tracked by the government. So then we find this whole conspiracy that the government tags zombified people so they can secretly kill them off. Or if they change, they'll know exactly where they are. Because in practice, that's the whole point, is if a zombie does happen, they'll know when and where it's at. But secretly, they've just been using it as a way to kill people. They know which ones are bad, which ones are good. So we get into this whole plot, and that starts picking up pretty fast later on, but for the most part, it doesn't really start until like chapter 4 or 5, and there's 7 chapters in the game, so that's easily past the midway point. There's no mentionable characters. I will say that there's a badass cameo near the end. Oof, I loved it. I was not expecting that to play out the way it played out. I'm not going to spoil it because I think it's a really good surprise. So yeah, story gets a 0.5. It's just, there's not enough going on for me to really care about any of the things happening in the game. The psychopaths have been toned down a bit. They are still psycho, but they're not as psycho as they were in the previous games. But, you know, it's enjoyable to watch. Don't get me wrong. As for gameplay, this is where the game excels easily the most. Come on here. It's Dead Rising. No, they've actually taken away the Dark Souls high level play, you know, the difficulty level. It's not as hard, but at the same time, it's not completely easy. You know, you can die. Okay, so basically, the way this world is set up is there's 4 central, like, city areas. You're technically on one island, but it's separated into 4 different areas, all separated by the freeway with which you have to drive to each one. And you know, each area is not very distinct, but they are a little different. It's pretty easy to get around, and just like the other games, the streets are loaded with different stores and different things you can go inside of and loot. Now, I have beaten the game, and I have killed like 40 or 50,000 zombies. I was level 48 when I beat the game. There's level 50 is the level cap. I made almost 100 different weapon combinations. I've done quite a bit of stuff. Really, the main differences between this and the other games are you're able to craft whenever you want on the go, and the way this game is built is it's perfect for weapon crafting. You'll find the weapon combinations usually always near the new like blueprints to make that weapon, which is perfect. Also, when you do come across weapon combinations, they always make sure that there's at least one weapon combination amongst the items that you find. You know, you have a 2x4 and a pipe that can make an item called the heavy metal, but it's not restricted to just that combination. These are 2 blunt weapons, so if you had any blunt weapons, you can make that weapon. It's such an awesome way they're doing it. You know, it's the logical way. You know, when you make a generic bladed like weapon, you shouldn't have to have a specific blade to use that weapon. You should be able to use any bladed weapon, because ultimately you're just breaking that blade down into shards that you can put onto your weapon. You know, I really like how they did that. Like I said, main goal is basically to just play through the chapters. Very, very generic. I guess go from point A to point B. You have side objectives that pop up. The game isn't as time focused as they were in the previous ones, so you do have a timer, but not quite that hard to follow, because as long as you're just constantly moving, you're not going to run out of time. I like it though. The main differences between this and the other games is you have safe houses now. Amongst the 4 islands, there's probably, I want to say like 7 or 8 different safe houses. And basically from the safe house you can reuse any weapon that you've ever made. You can spawn it and have it in your inventory instantly. And you can also change your outfits and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And you can also use survivors as actual party members now, which is pretty cool, because they don't suck. Just give them a couple guns and they'll be good to go. Since I know I wanted to wrap this up before 15 minutes, but that's not happening. So I figured, what the hell, why not extend it a little bit here? Main complaints with the gameplay, honestly, I think they could fine-tune the gameplay a little bit. The movement. The movement, to me, is the only problem I had. Nick doesn't turn very fast when he's running really fast. Like, let's say you're running and you want to do a quick 180 to go back the other way because you missed your turn or something. It is a little wonky. Don't get me wrong. The gunplay felt pretty decent compared to the other games. It's easy to get headshots. Yeah. Some of the city is a little shitty the way they have it set up. Obviously, it's a zombie apocalypse, so there's gonna be flipped cars, there's gonna be roadblocks. But there's a couple sections in the city that every time you get to, you're like, fuck. I always hit that roadblock when I should have realized that I was supposed to turn down a very small alleyway to the left. There's a certain couple parts of the city where you forget. You know, it kind of sucks. Okay, that scared the fuck out of me. Yeah. That's basically it. It is Dead Rising. It feels like Dead Rising, but at the same time, yeah, it's a different generation of Dead Rising. Ultimately, I was happy with gameplay. I'm easily giving that bitch a 1 out of 1. Overall, my score for Dead Rising 3 would be a 2 out of 3. It's a solid game, but at the same time, it doesn't really do anything specifically well. It's definitely worth a playthrough. I would wait for the game to drop a little bit in price, $60, unless you're into this type of game, an action adventure game with zombies and a bit of replayability, drop in, drop out co-op. Yeah. That being said, I hope this video was at least a little informative for you. If not, tough luck, man. I'm gonna be talking about some other games soon and all that. So hey, goodbye. Have a good Thanksgiving, man. Eat a turkey for me, please. Okay.